Did you know that 90% of the world's millionaires invest in real estate? Well, I'm Angel with the Academy Presents Real Estate Investing Rocks, and I'm here to help you if you want to go for your piece of that pie. So Sharon is asking, what do you use to keep track of your goals? Do you have a journal?
Yes. So I have a journal. Actually, that's something I started doing with my Miracle Morning routine, and I love it. And I do affirmations and things like that. So I kind of, remind myself of the things I want to achieve, and then that helps fuel my day. And the program or resource that I use to help track my to-dos and my goals, I have both on here, is something called Trello, Trello. And I love it. You have different boards. And so I have a board for Guideway Investment Partners. I have a board for Elevated. I have a board for Level Up. I have a board for the Women's Real Estate Investor Alliance. And each of those has to-dos, and then you can move them over to the done when they're done. You can move them over to doing while you're doing. And then I have my goals that are also right there at my fingertips that I can be reminded of every day. It's so easy to use. It's on my desktop. It's on my laptop. It's on my phone. So if I'm out and about and I'm like, ooh, I need to remember to do this, I just plug it into my phone and it's on there. And you can set dates and everything. It's a friend introduced it to me, and it's been a game changer. Those are the tools that I use.
Yeah, we're interested in, I'm interested in looking at Trello. We use Asana right now. I hear so many good things about Trello.
Mm-hmm.
Like for every one person that's using Asana, there's like 10 using Trello.
It's awesome. It's a great resource. I'm really liking it a lot. And I've only been using it for maybe a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. I feel, because all the stuff that's in my head is now finally put somewhere, right? I did like a brain dump on a piece of paper, and then I categorized it and put it into Trello. And it just makes me feel like I'm not constantly going, oh, I have to remember to do that, and I have to remember that, and I have to remember that. Oh yeah, I had that goal, and did I make that goal? And I feel a little bit more sane with the help of these things. So I
can feel you on that.
Thank you. Right. All right. Let's move on.
She said exactly know what you're feeling.
Yes. Right. It's a lot. It is a lot. So it's a great place to put it so it doesn't disappear and it's still there. And I love the feeling of moving it over to the done category is like, yay, so it's good. So let's move on to step 3, which is setting expectations. Again, for yourself, no one else. Okay. So important to never compare yourself to others. And I say, especially on social media, because that's where I personally find myself going, oh man, look what they're doing. And how are they doing that? And And you can't do that because you don't know their circumstances, their situation, what they've been through. And honestly, you don't even know if what they're showing you is for real, to be perfectly honest. I hope that what they are is, but it doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. All that you need to focus on is your journey and your goals and your path. So just always remember that, to set the expectations for yourself. And that's where you understand, acknowledge your circumstances, right? Be realistic. Please be realistic. I feel like when we first started this, we set goals. I mean, they were beautiful. They were massive. And I don't even know if we reached one of them, to be quite honest. It was just when we got to the end of the year, we're like, oh my gosh, that's because they were so insane. We were very excited to be doing this, right? Which is not a bad thing. But then when you reach the end of the year and you didn't reach any of your goals, or you only met one of them, you're feeling like a failure. And that's not a good way to go into another year, right? And so start small and build up. And that's really what we've done. And it's total game changer. I have on my whiteboard, I have monthly goals. And then, like I said, I have weekly things that I'm doing, and I'm starting small. I'm not, I'm going to take over the world and real estate, in 5 years. No, that'd be awesome. But it's just, I'm being much more realistic with myself, and I'm finding I'm not feeling like I'm failing at anything, right? It's so important to understand that this is not easy. It does not happen overnight, but it is 100% possible, right? I feel like a lot of people hear kind of the gurus talk and, oh yeah, you just send this yellow letter and they'll get a call and then you'll get a contract and then you'll get a closing and you'll make $50,000. No, that's not how it happens. Sorry if I'm bursting anybody's bubble. And if that is how it happened for you, freaking awesome. Way to go. That's definitely not how it happened for me and most people that I talk to. Be prepared to feel uncomfortable a lot. I promise you, if you stick with it, it will happen. And I'm kind of like proof of that. Like, we're still in this. Elevated is only a year old, you know, or a year and a half now, and we're still figuring it out. And I feel like we didn't really even get to a place where I felt like really comfortable and confident in this, and you know, until like 3 years in. And I don't say that to scare people. I say that to just like be realistic about things. And some people get there quicker than others, and that's cool. And some people it takes a little while, but we have made a dedication to ourselves and our businesses that we will continue no matter what. And let me tell you, I have been more uncomfortable in the last 4 years than I have ever been in my entire life. But it's also presented an extremely amazing growth opportunity for me. I am way more confident than I've ever been. I've never thought I'd be an entrepreneur, ever, 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 ever. I never thought I would want to do anything in real estate. And now it's like, I love waking up every day. I love building these businesses. I love working with the people that I do. It's just incredible. And if I wouldn't have been willing to be uncomfortable, I would have never experienced all of this. Yeah. So it's just something so important to acknowledge. Your growth is more important than really anything. So,
well, and I think it comes back to also the idea of, yeah, you're going to be uncomfortable for a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
Because your comfort zone catches up so quickly.
It really does. And the more you do it, the quicker it catches up. The quicker you're like, oh yeah, okay, that's uncomfortable. That didn't go the way that I wanted it to. But okay, how can we tweak it and make it better and do it instead of sitting there sulking for a week going, oh, my marketing campaign failed or whatever. You know, the more you go through it, the more you learn and the more you grow and like tweak and are able to bounce back quicker. So absolutely. Program your mind to look for opportunities. I think that's part of it, right? Because throughout this, you are going to stumble. You're going to quote unquote fail. I don't fail, because when you quit is the only time that you fail. I call those growth opportunities. And let me tell you, like, I've learned a lot. So, but I program myself to look for the opportunities, and that's, you know, how we create what we want for ourselves. So even when I fail, that's an opportunity to learn from whatever it was I did incorrectly, or maybe I just didn't do anything incorrectly and it just didn't work out, whatever. Look at it a little bit differently than, oh, these are failing and this isn't working and I'm terrible at this. No. If you say those things, that's how your reality is going to be. So take those words out of your vocabulary. They do not exist. In order to stay positive, you need to celebrate the small wins along the way. So I closed a wholesale deal a couple weeks ago, and Jason and I went out for a sushi dinner. You know, it's something just really small that we celebrated, and it was awesome. And that's what gets you through the tough days and keeps you going, is celebrating the small wins along the way. And then understand and accept it's okay for your goals to change, right? So my goals have changed dramatically since when we first started this. And I love that. I love that I'm understanding my true passion in this business and what it is that I want to do along the way. And because of that, new opportunities have been brought to me, or I've created, that I never even thought was possible, which I'm going to talk about one at the end that I'm really excited about to share. So, but it's just really cool to, you know, adapt and change along the way. And then most importantly, give yourself some grace. Like, you're not going to know everything overnight. You're not going to be successful overnight. This all isn't just going to happen overnight. Give yourself some grace for the learning curve and just do your best and keep going. That's really what you need to do, is keep going. Step 4, determining your marketing campaigns. All right, so we're finally going to talk about marketing campaigns. But I hope the other stuff was very helpful as well, because that is so important when you are determining your marketing campaigns and executing your marketing campaigns. So when you determine your marketing campaigns, we talked about make sure they align with your goals, right? So if you want to be a commercial investor, maybe don't buy a pre-foreclosure list of single family homes and start cold calling those. Make sure they are in line with each other and you are on the right path, okay? We talked about time and money. So that's a big thing when you're looking at your marketing budget. You want to create a budget, because you don't want to throw a bunch of money that you don't have in a marketing campaign and then it fails and then you're like, oh crap, what just happened, right? If you have more time than money, then do the things that have the little clocks next to them, right? If you have more money than time, then maybe do the things that have more dollar signs. There's not a right or wrong way to do it. It's just being realistic with yourself and understanding the resources that you have right now in front of you. When we first started, we had all the time in the world and not a lot of money. And so we did driving for dollars. We did door knocking. We did cold calling, right? We did all the things that we did a ton of networking. That was probably one of the best things we ever did, by the way. But we did the things that didn't require a lot of money, right? And then now that we're building our businesses, we're able to then invest in other ways that we just are the money and we're not doing the time. And that's the passive side of things that we were talking about earlier. So these are just some examples of marketing campaigns, probably the most popular marketing campaigns out there. You can do any of them. And again, I would just look at what makes sense for you right now. I have done all of them except for, I mean, I guess you could count online. Like I do social media posts. Now we have a website. Okay, so I've done all of them. And I will say majority of the ones that I've done were not successful. Direct mail was not successful. Door knocking was successful in that I learned a bunch, but I didn't, the amount of time spent versus the profit made didn't align. And then bandit signs weren't successful for me. Driving for dollars wasn't successful for me. And that's just me, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about why the marketing campaigns didn't work in a minute. Well, actually, no, let's talk about it right now, where it says choose 1 to 2 campaigns maximum as a new investor. That was my biggest takeaway from when I started is we tried, I think, doing 4 or 5 marketing campaigns at once. We were doing too little of too much. And so just sending 100 yellow letters is not going to cut it, right? Door knocking 5 doors isn't going to cut it. Cold calling 10 people isn't going to cut it. So that's where we scaled it down. And now I focus on 1 to 2 marketing campaigns. Even as an experienced investor, I only do 1 to 2 marketing campaigns at a time. My marketing campaigns right now are cold calling and basically, I guess you could say social media because I do posts and networking. That's all that I do. Okay. Not so much with the COVID stuff, but you can network on social media. But that's all that I do. When I door knocked, that was the only thing that I focused on. Door knocking and networking. I always can throw networking in there. And let me tell you, the marketing campaign success and what I learned along the way just was so much different than trying to do 4 or 5 at a time. You can't track them. You're not doing enough of them. You get frustrated. It's just too much. And I'm sure there's plenty of people out there doing all of these that are probably more experienced and they have teams and they have resources and all of that. And you can definitely get there. But in the beginning, choose 1 to 2 campaigns max. Any questions about that? Or any comments or anything?
Maricela kind of backed up a little bit. And she just wanted to say that in the military, they use Trello for medical missions.
Oh, cool.
She said she's hearing that she needs to implement it in her REI business. And thank you for that.
Yes, you do. It's great. I mean, if they're using it there, then it must be pretty good, right?
It must be pretty effective.
Yeah.
So one of the things that my husband and I have been looking at, so we said we'd never do another single family home. I know I said it just a few minutes ago, but we recently learned about how to do sub 2.
Yes.
And in our own neighborhood, we've been noticing like which houses don't have their yards mowed because people are mowing their yards like 2 and 3 times a week right now.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of, on our walks, we look and we're like, hey, let's remember this address.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we've never done a sub 2. So sometimes it's kind of like, are we chasing a shiny object or is this something that we might really want to look at?
It's a great opportunity. That's how Jason and I are going to build our rental portfolio is sub 2 deals.
Well, I was thinking back on your goals when you were like, be willing to have some flexibility in them.
Absolutely.
And, I do think everything happens for a reason. And we just happened to go to an in-face REI meeting a couple of weekends ago. And the guy that was talking about sub 2s.
Yeah. It's an awesome strategy. And that's what never say never, because you don't know what you don't know. And then you could go to something like that and you're like, oh, what? I want to know about that. It doesn't mean you're going to do it right this second. Like notes is something for me. I want to learn about notes, but I'm not going to do that right now. I don't have the time to put into that right now, but it's something I'm curious about, right? So never say never, be open to anything, all of that. So that's cool. Awesome. Okay. So
Sharon says subject 2 is how we are building our rentals with our self-directed IRAs.
Yep. Absolutely. It's an amazing strategy. And most of my buyers, that's how I get my properties that I wholesale is sub two. And almost all my buyers, that's what they want. So it's important to know that too. If you're a wholesaler, know what your buyers want and go after that. But yeah, it's awesome. So cool. Okay. So now you have determined your marketing campaign, right? So you choose 1 to 2 of these based on your goals. You've set your expectations, all of that. So now you need to choose like which lists you want to purchase. And this is always kind of a tough one for people. I would say the one I want to point out for me personally that I had a struggle with was the probate list. And we tried that from the very beginning. And what I didn't really know, and maybe that was just the particular list that we bought, but the list that we bought, most of the properties hadn't actually gone through the probate process yet. So there was an executor, and that process can take months. I mean, it can take a long time. So for me, probate, I just automatically think long-term lead generation. There's usually a lot of errors involved, or you have to find them or whatever else. And other people could have had probate situations that are super quick, right? But the list that we had, I think we didn't vet it well enough because we were new and we didn't know. And so for whatever reason, I don't really like probate anymore, which actually though, I just put an offer on a probate house like the other day and we're waiting to see if it's accepted, but that is already through the probate process and there we can move forward with it. So, if you have some time and you're okay, like nurturing leads, then probate might be a good one. But these are just some of the most common lists: pre-foreclosure, non-owner occupied, tax delinquent, bankruptcy, etc. You can find these lists so many places. You can get Real Estate IQ. I don't know if Propelio has lists. There's like so many list providers out there. And some of them even sell like all the lists. Like you could get all of these if that's something of interest. Now, I would try to still hone in on like 1 or 2 that you're going to really target. Don't try to mail to all of them or cold call all of them or whatever. If you do, you better have really good systems in place to track this, because that's the thing about your marketing campaigns. You want to make sure you're tracking them to know what's working and what's not. And if you're doing too many, it's really difficult to stay on top of that. And then you don't know what's working and you just end up throwing money away. And I say that from experience. Like I lived that and it was very frustrating. And I know many other investors that can relate to that as well. It's kind of what you do in the beginning. It's like your rite of passage or something. I don't know. It's one of those stripes that we earn. So yeah, so these lists, honestly, you can literally find so many places. Vet your list provider. That's what we didn't really do with our probate list. Some of the people I called didn't even have properties. I'm like, why are you on this list? So vet your list provider. I definitely vet mine after that. Some of them will supply phone numbers for you, all of that. So just make sure you understand what you're purchasing. And then, you'll be able to utilize it in the best way.
We've got a question. Oh, it was what was mentioned about Trello. I already took care of that one.
Okay. Everybody loves Trello. It's awesome. So, okay. So you've created your goals, you set your expectations, you've chosen your marketing plan or plans, remember 1 to 2. Now it's time to take massive, massive, massive action. And this is where you're going to really see your marketing campaigns blossom. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people that get super excited about this and they get the education for real estate investing and then they're about to deploy their marketing campaigns and then they just don't. Something comes up. They find an excuse. And basically then they're wondering, I don't understand why nothing is happening. Well, you're not doing anything you need to do in order to get results. So don't second guess yourself. What's the worst that can happen, right? You fail, right? Your marketing campaign goes kaput. Okay, that's happened to me multiple times and I'm still doing what I'm doing. It's fine. You tweak and you adjust and you move forward, okay? You can't complain about results you didn't create. I can't tell you how many times people have come up to me at networking events and they're like, Missy, what is it that you're doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm door knocking. Is that it? Yeah. Like, well, what are you doing? Let's talk about your marketing campaigns. Well, I was going to start this one and then this happened and then I was going to do that and then that happened. I'm like, you can't complain if you're not doing anything. I'm sorry to tell you this, but so
it's so hard to take that first leap though. Once you've taken it,
it really
it's a lot easier, but I think it's that fear of rejection. It's that fear of messing up, of, falling flat on your face and thinking that the whole world is watching you when they're really not.
No, nobody is watching you. You are watching yourself. And let me tell you, you will mess up. You will fall flat on your face. Your campaigns will fail, and you will learn from every single time that happens, because that has happened to me multiple times. I learned every single time. I made my campaigns better. I made the necessary adjustments, and that's how I learned everything there is to know about pre-foreclosures and what I'm doing, right? And now I'm able to launch successful campaigns, build a team to help me, and that allows me to help more families avoid foreclosure, right? When I started door knocking pre-foreclosures, I didn't know really anything. I was like, I'm just going to knock on these people's doors, and I have a network of people that can help me figure this out. I know I'm good with people. I want to help people. This sounds like the right thing to do. And I did it for 9 months straight, and I know everything there is to know about pre-foreclosures now. I can help people in ways I never even thought possible. And that's because I went and I did and I learned along the way. I didn't need to know everything. You're never going to know everything. So don't get stuck in analysis paralysis, right? Just start doing, and you have an amazing network. You have my email right there that you can email, and I help people all the time. I partner with people all the time. Use the resources, use the network around you. One thing that I tell myself is that failure is not an option, right? I never give up. When you give up and you quit, that's when you fail. Okay. So that is just not an option. I completely take it off the table. And then I don't have all the mental drama of, well, I'm going to launch this and it's going to fail. Well, when you say that, yeah, that's what's going to happen, right? I'm going to launch this and I'm going to kick ass at it. And if it does not go the way that I want, I'm going to tweak it and I'm going to do it again and again and again. That's the mentality that you need, right? So yeah, always be thinking, what's the next action that you can take, right? Whether it's tweaking your current marketing campaign or exploring other marketing campaigns. Like I said, I've done quite a few, and I've finally found, what kind of works for me. So
Ashley is asking, she says, how do you keep yourself motivated during the failures?
good question. That has definitely been a work in progress for me. I am a perfectionist. I've always been a very high achiever, straight A student, never really failed at anything. And building this business, like I said, it's been the hardest thing I've ever done. And I say what motivates me is, obviously you should always have your why, right? Why do you do this? Why do you want to build this business? Coming back to that, and then taking something from the quote unquote failure or the tough days, like, oh, you lost a deal. Well, why did I lose that deal? Well, the seller went with somebody else. Why did the seller go with somebody else? What did the other person have to offer that I couldn't offer, right? And really taking that and acknowledging that, and then making the necessary changes in your business, because then you grow and learn from it instead of looking at it as a failure. If you just look at it as a failure and sit and sulk, you're never really gonna grow and learn from it. And it's not easy, and you're gonna have tough days. I still have tough days. That's going to happen. But on those tough days, I really dig deep into why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? I also have lots of podcasts that I listen to, mindset podcasts that have helped me immensely. I'm now working with a life coach that she's also helping me. I have books that I read, and audiobooks and all of that. So it's all up here in how you process the situation, right? You can control how you think about it. You may not be able to 100% control the outcome of your marketing campaign, but you can absolutely control the execution of it. And then you can control how you tweak and make it better. And I guarantee if you are doing those things, you will see really great results in your marketing campaign. It's when we get stuck in this isn't working, I can't do this, that's when
nothing ever works, blah, blah, blah.
That's when you fail, right? And so you may not be able to, we sent 5,000, when we first moved to Houston, we sent 5,000 postcards out to flooded properties, or the owners of flooded properties. We got one phone call.
Wow.
One phone call. We moved to Houston to flip flood properties, and we did that marketing campaign to start and got one phone call. That was devastating. I was like, what the hell did we just do? But it was like, nope, that's okay. And we adjusted. We had a moment of, holy crap. And then it was like, no, okay, what are we going to do? Okay, I'm going to go door knock. I'm going to go to these neighborhoods where there's flooded properties, and I'm going to go talk to these people, right? we adjusted and we made it better. There's just always a way to navigate around the failure mentality where, like I said, I take it completely off the table. Failure is just not an option. Giving up is not an option for me. And it's really helped me stay focused and motivated along the way. So I hope that helps you a little bit as well.